admitting people. I'll get this
Okay.
recording started, I should say.
This meeting is being recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. John Harmon, and I want to welcome you to the Doctor and Athlete Podcast. Today's March 11th, 2026. This is the second episode in March where we interview doctors and athletes for the company LifeWave. Actually, we don't represent the corporate company, but we are branding partners with LifeWave. Before we get started, I want to let you know that nothing I say tonight or the other doctor on this call, even though we're both doctors, he's a medical doctor and I'm a doctor of chiropractic, nothing we should say tonight should be misinterpreted or taken as medical advice or treatment for any kind of condition or disease. We don't do that. We're talking tonight about a technology that reminds your body with light what it was supposed to be doing, but better. And that's part of my story tonight, is to tell you what that means. Tonight, we are going to be exploring this new technology, this photobiomodulation patch, this winner of the Global Biotech Stem Cell Innovation Award, this little X39 patch. I'm going to bring it in really close so you can see where you plug it in, or where the battery is. Oh, wait. There's no power source, is there? There's no plug, there's no battery. That's part of the story tonight that you're going to hear as well. What powers this patch and what makes it, I think, the most brilliant biohack in the history of the world because of the technology that's used to power that patch. That's the real intrigue about this technology. By the time we're finished tonight, I want you to be able to check these three boxes in your mind. Number one, does this patch work? I hope that I presented you with enough evidence tonight that you will see that this patch works. Number two, could it work for me? Asking yourself that. Well, I can assure you, if you have genes and if you fog up the mirror, place up to your mouth, it will work for you. You're a human. It even, not recommended by the company, but it can even work on pets and things. You didn't hear that from me, though. And number three, asking yourself this: could I also share this technology with others? After all, someone who cared deeply about you invited you tonight. It could have been because you have a health issue that no one's been able to figure out yet. There are thousands of unnamed things that people can have, and it depends on the complexity of the overlay of different organ systems. And sometimes it gets obscured by things like mold and parasites and viruses, and nobody can figure it out. Maybe they invited you to come and take a look at this. Maybe this could help. It might be because they saw you, with taking on a second job or a third job, and you don't get to spend much time with your family. It might be that they see that you are in an industry that may go away with AI. I heard some astounding stats. It was either last week or the week before, but this really smart economist was saying that by 2027, AI will be as smart as humans. And then over the next period of years, up to 50% of the jobs are going to go away. Well, how does that affect you? How does that affect the future of things like Social Security? Social Security is funded by what? Payroll taxes. If there aren't as many people working, you ought to have a plan B in case something like that happens. And that's why you should ask yourself, could I also share this with other people? But first, we have a very special guest tonight. He is a medical doctor, and I want to just read a little bit about his introduction that he sent me. So, Dr. Ed Pomikter, and if I think I'm pronouncing that right, he graduated from the University of Vermont College of Medicine in Burlington, Vermont. He did his residency in internal medicine, internship in the University of Vermont, anesthesiology residency, University of Vermont, board certification, diplomate, American Board of Anesthesiology 2002 to 2022, practiced anesthesiology in multiple practices in Vermont and Virginia since 1999 until 2022. And then he started health optimization functional medicine at Shenandoah Health Optimization Professional Medical Association. From 2022 till the present, Dr. Ed Pomikter practiced anesthesiology for 23 years before shifting his medical career in 2022 to practicing health optimization medicine. I love that. He focused on optimizing cellular, circadian, hormonal, and metabolic function with a goal of getting people off medications, feeling great, and living their fullest life. He and his wife, Thora, run his practice as well as their organic spice business. And when I read this, this is great. The spice company name is Teeny Tiny Spice Company. From their farm in Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, they have 2 grown children, 4 dogs, 1 cat, and a bevy of sheep, cattle, and chickens. Ed and Thora have been using LifeWave phototherapy technology themselves since the spring of 2025 and have been sharing this LifeWave opportunity since July 1st, 2025. Dr. Ed, you told me not to call you Dr. Pomikter, but I'll still call you the doctor. Dr. Ed, welcome to the show. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And I would like you to give us a little history. How do you found this technology? How you've used it? Maybe some of your patients. That would be great.
Well, I had first, and thank you for having me on. This is a real honor. I had first heard about LifeWave about 2.5 years ago. And among physicians, I am a very open-minded and curious physician, as you might tell from my switch from anesthesia to functional medicine.
Yes.
But when I heard, and I, if you're a good anesthesiologist, it's a very boring job. And that's part of why I went into anesthesia, because I love to read and study. And so for, 2 decades, that's basically what I spent my day doing. And so I had researched a lot, read a lot, and studied about photobiomodulation and biophotons and so forth. And when I heard about LifeWave a couple of years ago, it sounded completely silly and stupid to me and like snake, and I just ignored it. Another friend mentioned it to me last winter, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll take a look at it. Here are my biases against it. One of the big biases that I had was that it was a network marketing company. And as I say, I am an overeducated New England trained physician. And so network marketing to me meant that it was something scammy. So time goes along, and I had actually injured my Achilles tendon hiking too aggressively, and I was kind of limping around for about 8 months and whining about my stiff ankle and so forth. And a friend came to visit us, and she has been using the LifeWave patches for several years. And she gave some to my wife Thora and myself to use. Thora turned to me and said, I am sick of listening to you whining. Will you please just put one of these things on?
Wives are kind of direct sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah. And being a good husband, we've been married for almost 35 years, I think it is. I said, yes, dear. And
smart man.
amazingly, amazing to me, overnight, this discomfort was 80% resolved. So I had to kind of take a breath and say, okay, this is actually doing something. I don't understand what it is, but I've got to figure it out. And as time went along, Thora was really excited about her results with it and she was starting to share it with people. And I had to think about, okay, am I going to share this with my patients, my clients? I've spent, really 40 years from when I was a teenager working on an ambulance, building my reputation. And am I going to risk my reputation on this oddball little sticker that's sold through network marketing? And after praying on it, I realized that I have a job as a physician to give people my best advice. If I'm letting my ego get in the way of that, I'm not doing what I'm put here on this earth to do. So I started slowly utilizing it with patients who had seen, a half a dozen other doctors and ended up with me for their problems, and I hadn't been able to fully resolve things. And just said, hey, there's this patch technology, phototherapy technology. Would you like to learn more about it? Are you willing to give it a try? And so over the past 8 months, I've gotten about 100 patients on the patches. And it just, every week that goes by, I get more and more convicted at how incredible this technology is, how paradigm shifting it is, and the fact that it can be had for less than a cup of gas station coffee a day is just an amazing testament to David Schmidt's goals of creating financial freedom for people, but also creating health freedom. So
Can I
we're
ask
really
you a question
excited to be
here?
part of this. Yeah.
When you started sharing with your patients, did you have their friends come and say, "Hey, what's this thing here?" Because that was my experience and other docs that I've shared these with.
So we have enrolled. I mean, our team is about a couple hundred people at this point, a little bit more than 200 people. So some of the people who we've enrolled have definitely gotten very excited about it. A lot of the people have gotten their spouses involved or their other family members involved. Um, but I my practice is small and it's closed right now because I'm so darn busy with everything. So I haven't had other people coming directly to me, but they have definitely come to the people that we've signed up.
Yeah, that's awesome. What have some of the can you tell us a story of
Sure.
somebody's transformation that you helped?
Well, so really common things. I mean, the first person that I utilized these with, she basically, she was in tears because she had not been sleeping in months. And I said, oh, okay, I've got this little patch and it helps my wife Thora, with sleep. Do you want to give it a try? And so she came over and got some, and I think we gave her 5 to try. And she called us the next morning and said, I went to sleep at 8 o'clock and didn't wake up until 6.
Oh
And I
my,
can't remember when
that's a
that's
big deal.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, I'm ready to back up the truck to get as many of these as I can. Um, I've had people who were scheduled for joint replacements and for stem cell injections in joints who have, within a couple days to a month, canceled those procedures because they were out of discomfort. Um, I've had people who were kind of wound up and tense, um, very quickly within a couple weeks say, I'm actually, now I'm tense because I'm relaxed and I don't know what, I'm so unfamiliar with this feeling that it makes me uncomfortable.
I have
Um,
anxiety because I'm so relaxed.
yeah,
Interesting.
so that's interesting. A lot of people with increased energy, autoimmune diseases that seem to get a bit better, uh, autoimmune diseases like alopecia and hair growth coming in within a couple of weeks. Um, and then just general wellness. There are certainly a lot of things that I'm using it with people, thinking about, strength and bone health and so forth, that we don't have the data back on that yet. But people in general have been very happy. I don't think there's anybody who's actually stopped using them that I can think of.
Yeah, that's been my experience as well. And then things, when you're activating the regenerative powers in your body,
Mhm.
there's benefit for pretty much the whole body. So you can't predetermine how somebody's going to respond or how quickly, but eventually, those cells, those regenerative cells, get around to it, and they
Yeah.
start fixing other things that one didn't expect.
Yeah, and I definitely caution people that we don't have, the biophysics influencing the biochemistry is the same in everybody. But then we don't have control over what the GHK copper peptide is going to do or what the stem cells are going to do. There's a greater power that's directing that triage. So I think it's really important for people to come in with reasonable expectations of how long it's going to take for them to see results, particularly if it's been an issue that's been going on for quite some time. It's a mistake that physicians make saying, I'm going to fix you, or this, whatever I'm doing, medication, surgery is going to cure you. We don't do that. The body takes care of itself. All we can do is support that. Frankly, the way I've been trained in medicine is to use poisons, which are not really helping you out. So I think that patience is very important. And when people ask, and this is common in our community, people, especially people that are new to LifeWave, ask, will this treat some type of problem or condition? And as you said, we don't make any claims about treating, curing, preventing disease, and so forth. But I say it's very simple. We definitely have the data that says that the patches increase their particular peptides, whether that's GHK copper peptide with X39 or the AHK copper peptide with X49 and so forth. So A causes B. Now just go to a search engine and put in GHK copper peptide and whatever the issue is that you have in question, and see what the conventional medical literature tells you about that. And you will see over and over, I mean, that, maybe it does or maybe it doesn't affect it, and that clarifies things for you. But if GHK copper peptide affects something, so that's B causes C. So now if A causes B and B causes C, you got a pretty good idea. It's not too much of a logical fallacy to say A is probably going to influence C. And so that's how I think you can honestly determine whether something might help you without us getting into the realm of making claims.
Yes, and that's important to know that this X39 does one thing only. It elevates the GHK copper peptide. So like Doc said, in order to determine any potential benefit of wearing that patch, you just turn to what's already out there in the literature since 1977.
Yeah.
Doc, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on. I
Sure. Thank you, John.
You put it in a really good way of where people can understand, A plus B equals C, and that we don't diagnose or treat diseases and or cure them.
Yeah, and if I could just say one thing, John.
Yes,
one
please.
thing that's very important to me is I wasted 2.5 years without this that affected my health. It was a missed opportunity for me. But for me, even more importantly, it was a missed opportunity for me to help other people.
Yeah.
And so I just encourage people to kind of listen to what you say, listen to what they hear, and don't feel like you have to completely understand how this works or what it's going to do. My overthinking it got in the way of my using it, and that was detrimental. I'm trying to make up that lost time now. But, as in life, we try to teach other people to learn from our mistakes.
Wise words from a humble doc. I appreciate that. That's maybe motivates people to not have to do all the research themselves, although we encourage that, but it's already been done.
Yeah, there are a couple of great books that are out there on it.
Like that one behind me.
They happen to be sitting right back there, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The research has been going on since 1977. That's 27 years before the company LifeWave even existed. So it's not something that we're just pulling out of the air somewhere. It's documented what that peptide does. So how does this work? I talked about, could you share this? Asking yourself, could I share this with other people? And I want to show you how easy, if this will let me do this, trying to escape out of here. Here we go. I have to get this window on top. How easy is it to share this technology? Well, if you go to this website, it's called Why the Light. And I just realized, sorry about that, I didn't share my sound yet. And I want you to hear it. So, Why the Light, get this little bar out of the way, .com. is a very simple website. And when you find out someone has an issue or you're concerned about somebody, you can say, hey, let me send you a link to a 3-minute video, which we're going to watch. We're going to scroll down a little bit. But this is the website right here. So after 10 years of stem cell research and over 200 global patents, David Schmidt figured out how to signal your body with light to activate your own production of that peptide that Dr. Pulliker talked about, the GHK copper peptide. We discovered a way to use light, not chemicals, to signal your body's own cellular production. It's like flipping your body's own repair switch safely, effortlessly, and from within. We talk about a lot of research. There's a lot out there on this peptide, and LifeWave does a lot of research. So what happens when we age? We start to lose our ability to make this peptide. This is why I said it's even better now. Because when we're young, we make a lot of that peptide. At about 25 years old, it gets about 50% decreased. Well, here's why that is so impactful. It is this peptide that turns on the genes that signal your body to make more of your own stem cells. So that's why it's better. When we're young, a lot of the stem cells are used up making new things, growing, getting bigger bones, bigger everything. But when we're older, all of the stem cells that are induced to be made can be devoted to regeneration and repair. This is why this is so powerful. So we have aches and pains, and I can tell you, I'm almost 72. It hurts a little bit more when you fall. It's a little tougher to do those more challenging things, but maintaining one's vigor and vitality into the older years is now possible. This is our message. You can prevent that slide into, everybody gets older in age, but you can affect that and affect your vitality and maintain it as you get older. So this is the patch right here. Over on your right, you see the circle. The inner circle has a crystal structure in it that does not exist in nature. This is what David Schmidt invented. Much like when you go into a diamond store, jewelry store, you walk up to the cabinet with all the diamond rings and necklaces and everything, and there's always these bright lights shining down on them, right? And you get up close and you see all of these colors. What the heck is it? Orange and red and purple and green. And what are those? Well, in the white light, from the bright white lights shining down on them, it's the whole spectrum. The cuts of the diamond, or analogously, the crystal structure in this patch, separates out. In the jewelry store, it's the white light, and it's separated out into individual wavelengths that appear as colors to our eyes and brain. This patch separates a specific frequency out and reflects it back into you. That is the power source. You are the power source of this patch. Not a battery, not a plug, and it's not a pill. It's not a trend. It's not a shake. It's not something you take. It is phototherapy in a patch. All right, here's that 3-minute video I was talking about. So when you have someone you want to share this with, you say, go to whythelight.com, scroll down and watch this 3-minute video. And that's what we're going to do right now.
Light, the energy of life itself. Since the beginning of time, light has sustained us, fueled our growth, and shaped the world. Even Einstein recognized that everything we are is made of light. But what if we could harness the light within us, not just to live, but to renew, restore, and rejuvenate? As time goes on, we begin to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Energy fades, sleep declines, and healing takes longer. The reason? Our stem cells, the building blocks of renewal, become less effective over time. Since 2004, LifeWave has been delivering groundbreaking technology to help the body do what it was designed to do, only better. Introducing LifeWave X39, the first product in the world that activates stem cells using our body's own light. Backed by clinical research, multiple patents, and over 10 years of stem cell research, LifeWave's founder, David Schmidt, achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and regenerative science that others, despite years of research and billions in funding, could not. The result, a revolutionary wearable light technology that unlocks the power of activating our own stem cells with a single, safe, affordable, non-transdermal patch that puts you back in control of how you look, feel, and perform. Here's how it works. Unlike traditional light therapy, which requires external light sources, X39 uses the body's own infrared light. When an X39 patch is applied to any point on the body, our infrared light is reflected back into the tissue, sending a signal to the brain, activating a powerful peptide, GHK copper peptide, known to activate our stem cells. These younger, more effective stem cells then go to work, enhancing energy, relieving pain, improving sleep, accelerating recovery, and promoting healthier hair and skin. Unlike drugs or chemicals, X39 works naturally, awakening your body's ability to heal and thrive. Whether you want to boost energy for your busy life, recover faster, or simply feel your best, X39 supports your body's natural renewal process, helping you live long, live well, and live young. No matter your age or stage in life, your body is capable of more than you realize. It's time to unlock your full potential, restore your vitality, and embrace a healthier, more vibrant you. Be the light with LifeWave X39.
I always get a big kick out of that where they're counting the years up. It ends at my age. So when you tell someone to go to this site, say, scroll down a little bit and watch this 3-minute video, you know they're going to go look at the rest of it. But this is what's in here. Why light? Light is information. Your whole body is made of energy. And if you haven't noticed yet, you should take notice. Blue light, red light, purple light, green light, laser, all of these, infrared, light beds. I saw one the other day called the trifecta, and it's got 3 different types in the one. Light affects our bodies in many, many beneficial ways. David Schmidt figured out which portion of that light we already emit could be utilized and reflected back into the body to turn on, like a light switch, a very beneficial pathway. And that pathway it activates the production of the GHK copper peptide. That's what the doc was talking about, that I wrote a book about, because there's so much research on it and I had so many changes in my own health. I needed to go find out how the heck that happened, which led to that. So no, it's not about quick fixes. It's not a painkiller. It's a way of reminding your body what to do, but now only better because you're older. And all those regenerative cells can be channeled into fixing things and regenerating. I'm still noticing changes and I've been using the patch for 6 years now. I don't even remember where my glasses are. I don't know where they are because I haven't used them in 5 years. I don't need them anymore. So let's talk about this GHK copper peptide a little bit. There's another page for that. This doctor, Dr. Lauren Picard, David Schmidt says he thinks he should have gotten the Nobel Prize for medicine. But what they did way back in 1973, they suspected it had a lot of powers, and they did some experiments. And one of them is they put some old liver cells in a petri dish. That's where they do experiments on living things. And then put the GHK copper peptide in there. it reversed the age of those liver cells, which got their attention. Hey, there must be something to this. Then started all the research that's taken place. Since 1977 is when it started. So what does it do? Well, I mentioned already, that it activates our body to start up the factory of stem cell manufacturing, so to speak. And so our body starts making these young stem cells again, just like it did when we were younger, for regeneration and repair. And I asked you earlier, what could that possibly benefit? Pretty much, anything you got going on, if you use it long enough, you have to give your body a chance. You can't I always say, be patient with your stem cells. They're like teenagers. You can't tell them where to go or what to do. So be patient when you go on this journey. It's like you're remodeling your house, and nobody quits when the kitchen's torn up. You got the rest of the house to do and to fix. So it resets those stem cells to a younger state. When I started using these, I was 66. My stem cells were old. People ask, well, what about the treatments where they extract your own stem cells out of your bone marrow and then inject them into your joint? I said, cool, you're going to pay $5 to $10,000. They're old. They're old stem cells. The GHK copper peptide resets those older cells to a younger state, just like those liver cells, and activates production of your own brand new pluripotent stem cells. That's the difference. You can do one of them for $3.33 a day, or you can spend $10,000 to get your old stem cells re-injected back into you. Skin and hair, my goodness. The skin, the dermatologists were the first to embrace this technology because of the effect on skin and hair. And from the research, what it says, it caused in the research follicles to regrow, follicles to get thicker, so the hair shaft is thicker, so all kinds of changes in skin and decrease in wrinkle depth. It accelerates wound healing. I'm not saying that the X39 does that. I'm saying that the GHK copper peptide does that. The X39 elevates GHK copper peptide. Okay, anti-fast growing cells. We don't say the big C word on here. And this is not a claim made by LifeWave, but in the literature, this same peptide resets the cellular death cycle for some fast growing cells. This is why one of my good friends I interviewed about a month ago, we used to be in the same office, and he has a regenerative cancer care center now. He actually uses GHK copper peptide as part of his anti-cancer protocols because they help reset the cellular death cycle of some. In the research, it shows it's out of 1,309 bioactive compounds for fast-growing colon cells, it was the top one that gave the most benefit for that. Go to this website and read the rest of these. I can't read them all tonight, but go here. It's a very simple website, and you can get the information you need. Lung protection. It doesn't say it here, but I know from the research it said it was the #1 bioactive compound to treat COPD. Again, not a claim made by LifeWave. That's from the research. Restored healthy function in lung cells. Go read this. Antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. Huge effects in the literature shown with the GHK. This was my area in my practice. I had a practice called Clear Mind Idaho, and we help people with brain issues. I started using the patches for myself, not really knowing or understanding the research about it. And then when I found out it had so much benefits for brains, we included them in part of our protocols because of a study that was done, and it was done on the measurement of coherence. You don't even have to know what that is. Just know the more areas in your brain you have that have hypercoherence, the more autistic we are. The more areas of hypocoherence we have, the more into cognitive decline we are. That study showed that it decreased the hypercoherence, decreased the hypocoherence, or normalized the hypocoherence. additional benefits. I'm not going to read these all. We're a little short on time, but these last two, what's the number one killer? Heart stroke or myocardial infarction, heart attack. The GHK, well, first of all, this word right here, fibrinogen, let me tell you what that is. That is the substance that helps to make our red blood cells a little sticky so that if you get a cut, you won't bleed out. If you didn't have that, you would bleed out. Even a small cut, you would continue bleeding until they could get it to clot. Well, if you have too much of it, too many red blood cells stick together, and then you have a clot in a bigger artery, and now you have a stroke. GHK is shown in the literature to help modulate the level of fibrinogen, thereby decreasing someone's risk of a stroke. And this last one, increase a substance called myostatin, which inhibits cardiac failure. Hello! Here's your health benefits for the heart. All right, so how do you get some of these? We're going to discover that, but first, we want to hear from a couple of people who have had some benefits from this. And this first one has kind of a special place in my heart. And it has a lot to do with the way she says the name of the woman who had the courage to reach out to her and tell her about this technology. I want you to listen to that as she gives her testimonial here.
I was saving for my 20th stem cell treatment, and Barbara showed up, and she put two patches on me, and by the time we finished talking, I was able to lift my legs much easier. It was amazing. And so I canceled my appointment, and I've been wearing the patches every day since.
Everybody should be somebody's Barbara. You know, in life, it's the effect we have on other people, the way we've helped them, what we leave behind that is meaningful. Here's someone suffering. He's in the beauty industry.
My tendonitis on my elbow right here flare up. And 5 years ago, it was so bad that I would only work a few hours a day. I grabbed it, I placed it right there where the pain was, where the tendonitis was. And that pain went down to a 2, and I moved my arm like normal.
So if you think about that, if somebody in the beauty industry, like cutting hair, can't cut hair because they're in so much pain, how life-changing is that? Just to go from that and be able to keep working. So one more.
Patching, I had severe lower back and hip pain. My fingers were locked down every morning, and I had pain in my heel, making it hard to walk. I've been patching for 2.5 years, and those symptoms are gone, and I now walk 3 miles a day, and I feel great.
And when you get older, that is more and more meaningful to be able to do that. So how do we wear it? We put it on clean, dry skin, usually right after I get out of the shower, and I'm all dried off. I'll put my patches on, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Why is that? People ask that all the time. That's because your body gets used to any light therapy. It's like, okay, the bucket is full, I can't get it any more full, and now I don't need this anymore. So 12 hours on, 12 hours off, throw the patch away, or the patch will last about 24 hours. Your body stops responding after about 12, but if you have a pet or a plant, put it on your pet or your plant, it'll do the same thing for them. Throw it away, put a new one on. Here's what to expect. Again, I'm not going to read all these things, but go here and read these. It is known in the literature really quickly to reset genes that have been oxidized or damaged to a younger, healthier state almost immediately. And this is why some people, I call them one-patch wonders, some people get so many changes, like in my office within 15 seconds. I was not one of those. My changes came over a period of about 2 years where the right bundle branch block in my heart went away. Luckily, I didn't give up and say, well, I don't feel anything. But little did I know there were some pretty big construction projects going on in my heart and my eyes. This gives more information, cellular repair, brain and your brain and your energy come into balance. Collagen repair, it's known as the great repairer of collagen. 12 months, you got some big changes going on. I want to introduce you to the founder and CEO of LifeWave. And one of the main reasons I wanted to show you this video is so you can get a sense of the character of David Schmidt. And I'm telling you, the people that are attracted to this company, it comes from the leader down, the ethics and the morals of the people who are in this company. It starts from the top. And so this is David Schmidt.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. There is more information there than most people would ever realize. I was 8 years old, and my parents wanted to take me to the workshop of Thomas Edison. On the drive back home, I said to my dad, I want to be an inventor. Light, as it turns out, is the primary control mechanism for everything else that happens in the body. What if we could have an external electromagnetic field that would essentially reset the stem cells that are already in our bodies and get them to function like younger, healthier cells? What if in the process we actually found out that in a book that was written thousands of years ago, that information already existed? God has left his fingerprint in natural design, and that blueprint shows up in nature. The mathematical codes are identical. The implications to this are absolutely extraordinary. What drives me is that there's this enormous sense of hope that we can create technology to generate clean energy, that we can have foods that aren't genetically modified, and we can meet all of the needs on the planet that we have to, and that we can heal people.
You just saw or heard the future of LifeWave and David Schmidt on those last things that he mentioned. That technology already exists, and that's coming in the future. So how do you get these? You can do one of several different things. You can either become a retail customer and do a one-time purchase of a 30-day supply of X39 for $149.95. I don't recommend you do that. In fact, it's kind of bold, but if you go into expecting or demanding your body to show you something that it's fixing in the first 30 days, you might be disappointed. So $149.95 is a one-time purchase. If you understand the importance of long-term regeneration and repair, and if you order this once per month on a subscription, guess what the company does? It gives you wholesale pricing on it. So instead of $149.95, you become a customer and pay the same price that we do as branding partners, and I'll tell you what that means in a second. Right here for the to become a preferred customer, that's what the PC stands for up there. I hope you can see my pointer. For $25 a year, you get a 10-pack sample pack of some of our other patches, and at the end of your annual year, you get a free sleeve of X39 if you want it. You get to pick one of the patches for a $25 fee. So if you decide that you also want to start sharing these with other people like Barbara, you can do that by just purchasing a little product in advance. There's no big fee. There's no membership fee. There's in these enrollment kits, The cost of these is less than wholesale. So right here, you get a $300 supply for a little bit less, $295. So that would be a 3-month supply of X39 for one person, or a month and a half for two people. Here you get $600 worth of product for $535. That would be more for two people for 3 months with the X39. It mentions another patch here, and I'll just briefly mention that. The reason we mention the Aeon, it's called the Aeon patch, this drastically decreases inflammation. Normal amount of inflammation, the X39 is going to take care of it. If you have a lot of inflammation, you might want to add that one to your initial order. Here's why. Stem cells are attracted to inflammation like a moth to a light. Your body sends out these signals that attract stem cells where we need to repair something. But if the inflammation is too great, it's like a moth to a flame and the stem cells will die. So if you feel like you have a lot of inflammation, I know I've given you a lot of information. If you have a lot of inflammation, add this to your order. You can mix and match. This one is for a family. This one, this larger one, this is $2,000 worth of product for $1,750. This is for people who have clinics or stores or large families, or someone who wants to be a fast builder in this business. And I say that because people are impulsive and they want their product now, and you can actually just supply it to them and have their product shipped to you. That's what I did a lot of when I first started 6 years ago. So this, however you do it, get with the person who cared about you enough to, like the doc said, he said, I wasted these months, 2.5 years, I think it was 2 years, something like that. Think of all the people I could have helped. So when you look at the big picture of people's lives and how much more productive they can be if they're out of pain, their body's functioning better, they have less anxiety, they have better sleep. This is life-changing. So don't hesitate to go out and help people feel better without drugs, hopefully save them from a surgery, like the doc was saying, and just live a better life with a simple little patch that you put on the back of your neck for 12 hours a day. Even, the elderly can do that. Grandma who, sits in a rocking chair, get her out of the rocking chair. And that's happened a lot where people, they recover so much from using the patch and getting that constant activation every day of our own body's regenerative powers. That is far better than waiting until you have something and then taking a medicine for it. That's our message to everybody. Get patched, get with that person and get your first order, and they'll explain everything about maybe some of that Aeon patch in addition to the X39. I do these every week, Wednesday nights at 5 o'clock Pacific. Figure out your time zone. We have great interviews with athletes and doctors all scheduled out for the next month. You won't be disappointed when you come and hear their stories. See you next week, everybody. Tell your friends about it and get them on the call next week as well. Thank you, Dr. Paul McDermott, Dr. Ed. He doesn't like to be called doctor. I like to call him doctor. He went through a lot of work to get that. So thank you so much for coming on. See you next week, everybody. Take care.